Mr. Recap here. The movie we will be recapping is Red Sparrow, a spy thriller which stars Jennifer Lawrence. The movie is about a ballerina who gets recruited by the Russian intelligence and how she has to use her beauty to trap a CIA agent and find a mole in the process. Warning: spoilers ahead. The movie opens with Dominika, a ballerina, waking up and taking her mother to the hospital, while Nate Nash, a CIA operative, receives a call while in his apartment and goes to a coffee shop. After coming back home, Dominika leaves for work while her mother's caregiver comes to the apartment and Dominika reaches the theater to get ready for her performance. She is introduced to Dmitry Ustinov by her uncle Ivan, who is a high-ranking official in Russian intelligence. As her ballet recital starts and Dominika makes her solo entry on stage, Nate goes to a park with no one in sight. While walking on a pathway, he sees a fully covered man approaching him and is alerted to a car following him. When he bumps into the covered man, they exchange information quickly, while the car announces they are Russian police. Nate shots his gun into the ground to create a distraction and the police follow him in the car. While the chase is going on, Dominika is shown dancing passionately, and when Nate tries to evade the police, he is eventually caught by them. At the same time, Dominika suffers an injury on stage and faints. While Dominika is being taken into surgery, Nate Nash is in a meeting room where two American officials tell him that his apartment is being searched by the Russians and he has to leave the country as he is transferred. While Dominika is under surgery, her uncle Ivan goes to a meeting with his boss and associate who inform him of the incident that happened at the park and how Nate Nash is a CIA operative who was meeting someone in the park. They were unable to catch the man, and wonder who he was. Dominika wakes up to discover her leg has a brace and realizes she will never be able to dance again. 3 months later, Dominika has healed from her injury but has a walking stick. She returns to her apartment to see her mother having a conversation with her uncle Ivan. She offers to make tea and Ivan joins her in the kitchen, informing her that the ballet company has already found a replacement for her. Ivan tells her that she will need a new home and medical coverage for her mother and can help her, giving Dominika a bulky envelope. He tells her that she has to make her future and leaves. Dominika opens the package in her room and sees the contents prove that the replacement and the male ballet lead were having an affair and deliberately injured Dominika so that Sonia, the replacement, could get her role. She goes to the theater and watches them practice, confronting them later in the steam room and thrashing them both with her walking stick. While going back home, she informs the police of the crime anonymously and reaches home. She discovers her mother on the floor and her mother informs her the caregiver has stopped coming as their benefits have been revoked. Dominika promises to solve their problem soon. After she is completely healed, she goes to meet Ivan, who offers her a job where she will have to get close to Dmitry Ustinov, who she had met at her last ballet performance. She refuses to do it when Ivan suggests that she has to seduce him, but when he offers to give medical care to her mother, Dominika reluctantly agrees. Ivan tells her to go to a hotel and dress up in a red dress to look alluring to Dmitry and gives Dominika the task to exchange his phone with a duplicate while he is paying attention to her. She dresses up elegantly and reaches the bar of the hotel and Dmitry meets her. He asks her what she is doing there but can see past her lies. Dominika confesses how she wants to be special and they go back to her room, successfully manipulating Dmitry. Dominika excuses herself to the bathroom and rethinks her decision. But she comes back to the bedroom, where Dmitry undresses and commands Dominika to remove her dress. He proceeds to rape her with Dominika, but Dmitry is suddenly strangled to death by a bike helmet wearing person. The person offers Dominika a coat and the leave from the back entrance of the room to avoid Dmitry's guards. The biker and Dominika escape on a bike and he takes her to an isolated building where he makes her sit at a table and removes his helmet. Ivan and Vladimir, a general, are watching Dominika from a CCTV, where Ivan tells Vladimir that she can be an asset while Vladimir tells him to get rid of her. Ivan comes to meet Dominika and the helmet man is revealed to be Sergei, an SVR operative. Ivan forces Dominika to join the Russian intelligence, otherwise she will be killed, and she agrees. Dominika has a tearful goodbye with her mother, who tells her not to follow her uncle completely. She arrives at State School 4 and meets Matron, who tells her to use a code name at all times and never divulge private information about herself to anyone. At the first meeting, the matron reveals that they are training to be sparrows, assets of Russian intelligence who use seduction to psychologically get the information they need to advance the interests of the SVR. At the meeting, she calls Dominika by her codename Katya and another sparrow named Victor and asks them to remove their clothes. When Dominika does not remove her clothes, Matron tells her that her body belongs to the state and she will have to follow every order, even if it means getting naked. Meanwhile, Nate Nash attends a meeting where he is suspended, but he tells the members that Marble, the Russian mole, will not deal with anyone but him, referring to the covered person he met in the park. Back at State School 4, Dominika begins to excel at her training. At a lesson with the matron, Her associate Anya is called upon to do oral sex on a man, but she is unable to, leading the matron to explain that sparrows have to use sexual desire to their advantage, and Anya will have to keep trying to make herself immune to shame and embarrassment, leaving Dominika disturbed. Back in America, Nate notices that the Russians are tracking him, and during one of his meetings with his superiors, informs them of this. They tell him that Marble is not contacting the CIA with information, and Nate explains it's because he will only speak to him. The superiors reluctantly allow Nate to go back to Russia and establish contact with Marble, but only to force Marble to speak to another agent, and Nate agrees to this condition. During one assignment by the matron, she assigns the sparrows to sexually manipulate a group of young Russian soldiers, and Dominika attempts to charm one of them, but matron dismisses her attempts when she sees a tape of their time, telling Dominika she is trying to take the easy route. While having a shower, one of the male sparrows tries to rape Dominika, but she bludgeons him with a broken tap. Ivan, Vladimir, and their boss are informed of Nate Nash's return to Budapest, and they think of outright arresting him, but Ivan suggests using one of the sparrows to manipulate him into giving up information about who Marble is. At a hearing regarding Dominika's assault of one of the sparrows, General Vladimir interviews her privately and finds her interesting. At one of matron's lessons, she tells Dominika to offer herself to the sparrow who tried to rape her, but she looks down and derides him about his size, which makes him angry and he leaves. Dominika is informed by the matron that she has to go to Moscow as she has a new assignment that her superiors, including General Vladimir, have for her, but the matron does not think she is ready to be on the field. She visits her mother but is called into duty. She meets her uncle Ivan, who tells Dominika that her assignment is to get close to Nate Nash, a CIA agent, and find out the real identity of the Russian mole Marble. Dominika rebukes him for sending her to state school but Ivan tries to tell her that she was born to be a sparrow. Dominika, who is given the identity of Katerina, goes to Budapest, where she meets a fellow sparrow and her roommate Marta, who warns Dominika about their womanizing station chief Maxim. She meets Maxim, who gives her the required information about Nate Nash and where to meet him while signaling his interest in her. She follows him to know his schedule and dyes her hair blonde, as Nate has a preference for blondes. She uses the same swimming pool club which Nate uses, but with her real name, and is noticed by him. One day, Nate approaches Dominika and asks her out to eat, but she denies and leaves. The next day at the pool, Dominika does not find Nate there, which confuses her. Nate discovers her real identity through her club membership and informs his superiors of Dominika's intent on tracking down Marble. Nate explains that she can be an asset for them as she used her real name at the pool instead of her alias. His superiors agree and ask him to pursue her. Using Maxim's help, Dominika goes to an American embassy event, where she sees her roommate Marta there. Dominika encounters Nate, who calls her by her real name, and they have an interesting conversation. They decide to have dinner the next day at 8 p.m. and Dominika goes back to her apartment. Dominika investigates Marta's room and finds out that Marta's goal is to buy intelligence from Stephanie Boucher, chief of staff of a U.S. senator. When Marta gets home, she gives Dominika a report inquiring about her slow progress with Nash. Dominika follows her station chief Maxim to a club and blackmails him into sending a favorable report about her progress in the mission. Dominika does not show up at the restaurant to meet Nate, but she follows him to his apartment, where he receives another coded message from Marble. Nate prepares to leave his apartment but gets a call from Dominika and calls her up to his apartment. He invites her inside and offers her whiskey. She questions him while coming close to him and they kiss. He asks her to go back to her apartment and she leaves. The next day, Dominika sneaks into his apartment but does not find any information on him or the CIA. She returns to her apartment where her uncle Ivan has come to visit her. He inquires about her progress with Nate and why is it so slow. Dominika explains that she is helping Marta in her mission to turn Stephanie into an asset and needs money to offer the chief of staff in exchange for information. Ivan agrees to it and leaves the apartment. Marta comes from her room and asks Dominika why she said Stephanie was her asset, to which Dominika explains that she wanted more ties for her mission and can get Marta the money to give Stephanie. Dominika travels to Vienna and goes to a bank there, asking for a blank form from the teller who is about to leave. Marta goes to Maxim and asks him to get rid of Dominika. Dominika returns home to find a brutally murdered Marta, and Sergei threatens her that if she reveals any more secrets to anyone, she will be murdered like Marta. Nate returns from his meeting with Marble in Vienna and informs his superiors that Dominika is a sparrow from the SVR. They get a phone call about the death of Marta and Nate meets Dominika outside the police station where the police had interrogated her. Nate takes her back to his apartment and they share a conversation where she comes clean to him about how her uncle blackmailed her into joining the Sparrows. Nate tells her to join him and become a double agent, with him assuring her that she will not have to go to the lengths her uncle made her go. Nate tells her that Marble has put his life on the line because he learned how cruel his government was and offers the same deal to her. Unable to sleep, Dominika goes to Nate and they have sex. The next morning, Nate offers Dominika coffee while playing Grieg's piano concerto and she tells him how she danced her first ballet solo to it. She agrees to spy for him and follows Nate's advice about writing a fake report regarding him and going back to her apartment. There Dominika receives a call with Grieg's piano concerto playing. She undergoes a lie detector test where she attests to share information with the US government. There she reveals how a chief of staff of a US senator is going to sell information about a security deal to the Russians in exchange for transferring money to a bank account in Vienna. Under SVR orders, Dominika goes to London to meet Stephanie, codenamed Swan, with Nate and his team keeping her under surveillance. Maxim meets Dominika at the bar but she sends him to her room instead. Dominika meets Stephanie at the bar but Stephanie is not pleased to see her and asks for Marta, which Dominika deflects. She invites Stephanie to her room where Maxim is also there and which is bugged by the CIA. A slightly drunk Stephanie gives Dominika the discs which she swaps with CIA fake discs successfully. After making the switch, Maxim and Dominika leave with Stephanie still in the room. After some time, Stephanie leaves the room with the money but notices the CIA tailing her. She leaves the money bag and while crossing the street gets hit by a truck and is killed. A Russian intelligence officer notices the CIA operatives and informs of the compromised situation. Maxim gets a phone call and he tells Dominika that they have to fly back to Moscow as Ivan has instructed. He takes the discs and her passport, leaving Dominika nervous. Nate collects the discs from the room and while leaving the hotel is informed of Stephanie's death and how the Russians know that the CIA orchestrated the event. He realizes that Dominika is in grave danger as she will be found out as a double agent. Nate rushes to Heathrow Airport to stop Dominika from leaving the country but he sees Maxim guiding her through the terminal unable to intervene as it will blow her cover. Back in Russia, Dominika is tortured by beatings, hangings, and at gunpoint while being asked if she told the Americans about Stephanie but she denies it all. Finally, Ivan meets her and tries to emotionally manipulate her but Dominika manages to turn it around and tells him that she can become a triple agent by informing Russian intelligence about the CIA activities. Ivan agrees to her idea and sends her home where her mother is shocked at her bruised face. Ivan talks to his boss and General Vladimir about Dominika's offer to become a triple agent and they reluctantly agree, asking Ivan to eliminate his niece if she is compromised. Dominika and Ivan meet with him telling her that she can work as a triple agent. While leaving, she kisses him and admits that she is like him. Dominika goes to Budapest and meets Nate and he hugs her, taking her back to his apartment. She asks him to arrange for her and her mother to go to America and $250,000 be sent to a bank account in Vienna. Nate agrees and they have a romantic moment leading them to have sex. The next morning, Dominika wakes up to find Nate being tortured by Sergei and joins him by tying up Nate to the chair. Sergei asks him who Marble is and to reveal the mole's identity and begins torturing Nate. While she fakes torturing Nate, Dominika hits Sergei over the head and unties Nate. Sergei attacks Dominika but Nate stabs him and wounded Dominika proceeds to stab him to death. Dominika awakens in a hospital, healing from her injuries. General Vladimir visits Dominika and reveals that he is Marble and how when his wife was ill in New York, the Russians refused him to call an American doctor to treat her, leading to her death. He reveals how he knows that Dominika became a double agent and ratted out Stephanie to the CIA. He offers Dominika to turn him over to Russian intelligence as she will be rewarded with his position and she can continue being a mole. He asks her to think about it and leaves. Dominika leaves the hospital and goes to the scene of the crime where she is arrested. She asks to speak to the Russian ambassador and in the meeting tells the ambassador to call the superiors and tell them she knows who the mole is. Dominika demands to be exchanged for the mole and will only tell the director, Ivan's boss, who it is. Dominika gets her phone call with the director and tells him the identity and he tells his associate to catch him. Dominika is led to an area with a helicopter with police officers escorting her to the area. She meets Nate there and tells her that her uncle will be proud that she gave the name of the mole. As they walk towards the helicopter, a hooded man in handcuffs is being brought. The US authorities are exchanging her for the mole, but Nate tells Dominika that the Russians will shoot him immediately. The hood is removed and it is Ivan, who Dominika ratted out as the mole. Nate and his team are surprised by the reveal and they do the exchange, with Ivan passing her. In a flashback, it is shown that the director called Ivan for a meeting showing him proof of his deceit which Dominika had planned all along, whether it is glasses with Nash's fingerprints or the bank account she opened in Vienna. In the meeting, Ivan realizes that Dominika set him up as a patsy and when he is being exchanged with her in Budapest, a sniper kills Ivan. Dominika is felicitated in Russia with Marble aka General Vladimir applauding her. She goes back to living with her mother and attends a ballet show. The movie ends with her receiving a phone call and the melody from Grieg's piano concerto plays, signaling that Nate is the caller. Make sure you subscribe and keep notifications on so that you can watch more movie recap videos like this. Comment about your thoughts on the movie, Red Sparrow, and thanks for watching.